Have you ever asked yourself why we live the way we do? Why do societal norms and values hold such sway over us? It's fascinating, isn't it? The unseen power of society's expectations quietly shaping our behaviors, our decisions, even our perceptions of ourselves and the world around us. These invisible guidelines, weaved into the fabric of our daily lives, often go unquestioned, accepted as the way things are. But let's pause for a moment. What if these norms are not as necessary or as valid as we've been led to believe? What if there's a different way to live, a different way to see the world? A world where the artificial constructs of society are stripped away, revealing a simpler, more authentic existence. Would you be curious to explore this world? What if we told you there was a group of ancient philosophers who challenged these norms, choosing instead to live in harmony with nature and virtue? Welcome to the world of cynicism. In the heartland of ancient Greece, around 400 BC, a unique philosophical school was born, Cynicism. This was an era of intellectual flourishing, where the greatest minds were challenging the status quo, and in the midst of this philosophical revolution, cynicism emerged as a rebellious voice. The seeds of cynicism were sown by one Antisthenes, a pupil of the great Socrates himself. Antisthenes was deeply influenced by his teacher's emphasis on virtue and morality. However, he took it a step further, arguing that virtue was not just the highest good, but the only good. He believed that societal norms and conventions often served as barriers to virtue, leading people astray from their true nature. But it was Diogenes of Sinope, a student of Antisthenes, who truly embodied and popularized the philosophy of cynicism. Diogenes was notorious for his radical behavior, flouting societal norms and living in a large ceramic jar in the marketplace of Athens. He lived by the philosophy he preached, embracing poverty and rejecting societal conventions. Diogenes and his fellow cynics pursued a life in accordance with nature, arguing that animals live happier and more virtuous lives than humans, as they are not burdened by societal constructs like money, fame, or social status. They emphasized self-sufficiency, simplicity, and rigorous self-discipline, viewing these as the path to true freedom and happiness. Cynicism was not just a philosophy, it was a way of life. It was a radical departure from the societal norms of the time, challenging the established order and urging individuals to live authentically in harmony with their nature and free from societal constraints. It was a call to question, to critique, to dissent, and to strive for a life of virtue and integrity. Cynicism, thus, was a profound statement against the artificial, the superficial, and the inauthentic. It was a beacon for those seeking a life of simplicity, authenticity, and virtue in a world often dominated by artificial societal constructs. At the heart of cynicism lies a profound rejection of conventional ideas of materialism, fame, and social status. The cynics saw these as distractions, unnecessary trappings that served only to hinder the true pursuit of virtue. They argued that societal norms, rather than helping us, often lead us astray, causing us to value the wrong things and live inauthentic lives. This is why cynics advocated for a life of self-sufficiency and minimalism. They believed that by stripping away the excess, the superfluous, and the artificial, we could get closer to our true nature. This wasn't about austerity for its own sake, but rather a way of life that prized simplicity and authenticity over all else. A key part of this was rigorous self-discipline. The cynics believed that through hard work and constant vigilance, we could resist the allure of societal conventions and remain true to our authentic selves. This wasn't about punishing oneself, but rather about cultivating a certain kind of inner strength, a resilience that would allow us to stand firm in the face of external pressures and desires. The cynics also held a deep-seated skepticism towards societal norms and customs. They saw these as artificial constructs, often more reflective of power structures and vested interests than any inherent truth or value. This skepticism allowed them to critique and challenge these norms, advocating instead for a life lived in accordance with one's true nature. Living authentically for the cynics meant rejecting the false narratives and expectations imposed by society. It meant living in harmony with one's true nature, free from the constraints and pressures of societal conventions. This radical honesty was not just about being true to oneself, but also about challenging the status quo, questioning authority, and daring to live differently. In essence, cynicism promotes a radical form of honesty and integrity, championing personal freedom and independence. This philosophy encourages us to live our lives not according to what society expects of us, but according to our own inner compass, guided by a pursuit of virtue in its purest form. So what can we learn from the cynics of ancient Greece? Well, their principles resonate even today, urging us to question the norms and values society imposes. They invite us to strive for authenticity and simplicity, to reject materialism and hollow fame. They challenge us to find happiness in self-sufficiency, in living life true to our nature, free from external desires and pressures. Perhaps it's time we embrace a bit of cynicism in our lives. After all, living authentically and freely might be the key to true happiness and fulfillment.